What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Woo!
Well, for us?
Yes.
Yay. Yay, us.
It just sounds right.
Freaking cornballs. Oh, man. What's happening, babe? We are kidless once again.
Kids are back in school. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
You know, all the mommies,
that
right?
gets a hand clap.
Yes,
Dude,
yes.
you know what? Like, what was it? Like 2 or 3 days before the kids went back to school, you had a day, and I didn't tell you, but I had a day a couple days before that where I thought the same thing, but you were like, these kids need to get back in school. You know, and there was like a couple days before that, I was like, oh man, these kids got to go back to school.
Dude, like they were getting
They've been acting
on
a fool.
my nerves. Like, it's like, what is wrong with you guys? What is going on? And I think they were getting sick of us too. That's what, like, I think that's what was happening. I'm like, okay, it's time.
Maybe we got to figure out how to annoy them like we did on that one trip. Remember when they were sleeping in the hotel? Like, just use their own stuff against them.
Yes.
So we annoy the shit out of them.
Yes. But it was just really, it's been great. You know, Audrey just started 7th grade and it's a new school. And I love the fact that she has friends that are also attending with her. I love the fact that we have built that structure for our kids so that they have these close relationships so they don't feel like they're in it alone. And, I asked her, how was your first day? She's like, it was good. But too, it's like they are sharing the experience together.
Yeah.
Those bonding moments. And I love that because I never had that.
Yeah.
So just seeing them.
I forgot what Audrey told me. She told me something about a kid that she met at school. And like, it's like I was like, have you made any friends? Because they've only been in school for what, like 2.5 days or something like that. And I asked her, I was like, have you made any friends? And she's like, there's one kid in PE that I met. And she's like, I don't remember his name. But he asked me if I had Snapchat. She's like, and I said
not. No. Right.
But
yes. And so Audrey wanted this rolling backpack, okay, because at her junior high, there are no lockers.
It's ridiculous.
Which, yes, I don't understand. Because they're still developing. That is not good on their backs.
You were saying that they're not allowed to have rolling backpacks?
Well, no, that's what she had told me. But I found out that someone had told her she may not want to get a rolling backpack because she may get made fun of, or like they'll be teased, and she's like, I don't care, I am not carrying that thing. So we got her a rolling backpack, and it's super cute. It is a cute backpack. She absolutely loved it. She was excited about it. And she's like, I don't care if people are making fun of me, I can take care of my own, kind of deal, right?
Dude, she should extend that backpack handle, and the first person that says something, just freaking swing it. That'd be the last person to say something about the rolling backpack.
So it's a rolling backpack. She put all her stuff in it and she started rolling it, and it sounds like a damn motorcycle.
It does. I was like, holy.
It was loud. And then, I'm like.
And we have like the wood floors. I was like, maybe it's just loud like in here. And then we took it outside to the concrete and it was still loud. Yes.
So she was like, I don't care. She was like, I don't care. I'm like, are you sure about that? And I know Audrey, like, she is tough, but when she doesn't like all eyes on her. She's not like me. She's like you in that area. She doesn't like all eyes on her. And so I'm like, she's not going to like this. Even though she's acting tough, she's not going to like this. And as soon as she walked in that door, I'm like, hey, how did it go? She's like, everybody was looking at me today. She's like, they leave the classroom doors open, and here I come running late to my class because I'm learning where my classrooms are, and the doors are open, and here I am, and everybody's kind of looking out the doors looking at me. She's like, I don't like it. Yeah. I'm like, I felt like telling her I told you so, but I just smiled at her, and Daddy fixed it.
Yeah, I put some
Daddy
tape.
fixes
I put some tape
everything
on the wheels. This rubber tape.
Yes.
So yeah.
But she's loving it, and I'm excited for her. And Joey's doing well. Yeah. It's good. And we are doing well now that they're back in. Gives us some time away to breathe. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah. So like I said, we have this weekend to ourselves.
Yes. We swapped kids. We had their kids a weekend, and now they have our kids for the weekend. But it's a busy weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. It turned out to be a busy weekend anyway, with a bunch of fun stuff, but it's still busy.
Yes. So. But I'm excited because you and I are going to go have a date night.
Yeah. Kind of a date night and see some of our old business friends. And then, I'm
excited
and then meet up with some new business friends tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. So that's super cool. Yeah. Busy.
Yeah.
And
so because the kids are out, then today we were just kind of hanging around, and Sonja had the opportunity to go and volunteer.
Woo.
So how was your experience? You went to the Dream Center?
Well, it's part of the Dream Center, but the Dream Center is a nonprofit, and they're known, like they've been around for quite some time. But prior to COVID, I started volunteering.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Dang it. Yeah, keep going.
I loved it. I started volunteering at group homes for foster children. So I was working with girls age 11 to 17, and there was about 10 of them. And so that got me going. Then I got involved with a lot of other nonprofits that do similar things, that give back. And I was in it, and I loved it, and I enjoyed it. And then COVID came and killed it. Yeah. And this was my first time volunteering since, and I was excited, and I heard it was at the Dream Center. A friend from church told me about it. And anyway, so the Dream Center facility for young adults, I guess you want to say. I mean, they say teenagers, but it's like young adults, because you can get them in sometimes at like the age of 25. But the Dream Center, it's super cool because they have clothes, they have just everything that they need. And at the Dream Center, they also have some beds and some showers, so they can go shower and do all that stuff. So this is part of the Dream Center, but it's a smaller facility. Like, I didn't know it was a smaller facility, and it's called the Fountain of Hope. And so I was invited, got there at 8:00, wasn't sure what really to expect. I knew that we were serving brunch. So we were serving waffles and eggs and fruit and all this good stuff. And prior to COVID, they told me that they would have the women come in. So it's for women and that are homeless. And so they come in, they can actually sit down, and we can interact with them. And then, we have hygiene products and stuff like that for them, all kinds of good stuff for them.
And this was for women this time, right?
Yes, this one, it's always for women.
Oh, is it?
The specific, Fountain of Hope. And this is my first time, so I'm still learning about it. But let me tell you.
And real quick, I just looked up their website. So if you guys want to go to their website and check out their stuff, it's phoenixdreamcenter.org.
Yes.
So you can check that out.
So I get there, and we're setting up, and I'm very emotional. I'm an emotional being anyway.
You called me on your way home, and you were already.
Oh, I was.
I can't imagine.
I was. Before I got there, I'm just like praying to God, just help me to keep it together.
Did you know what you were getting into?
I did, but I thought I'd be okay because I was in this environment before.
Yeah.
Right? So
was it what you expected?
And more. Okay. It was what I expected and more. But when you're in it, because I'm sitting back as a volunteer, and there's other women that are there that have been there from the beginning.
They have more experience,
amazing, just loving women. And they're kind of giving me the lowdown on things. But you still don't expect. I mean, this is in the ghetto. This is I can't even explain it. But when you look out the window,
you see it all going down.
You see everything. You see you know, women and men like outside rolling carts,
doing drugs,
just
everything.
It's hard for me to get in it right now because I'm being recorded. You know, like I know I'm being recorded, and it's hard for me to voice what I was voicing to you on the phone. And I'm trying to gather myself so that I can share the experience, because I believe that if people only knew what it could do for them.
Well, there was something that you had said when we were talking when you were on your way home. And actually, it was one of the first things that you said was that there's a lot of people that, or not a lot of people, but I mean, it happens to us. Like I did it the other day just with like one of the nature shows, you know, like when the bad part came up, like when the animal was ripping another animal apart, I was like, all right, well, we can skip that this time, you know, but I know it's real. I know it happens, but I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? It's hard. And these are things that everybody knows are happening, but we don't like to look at them.
Right. Like we avoid it. And if you don't live in it, it's easy to write it off. Like, you know, it's out there. You know that there are people that are homeless. You know that there are people out there that are doing drugs. You know that there are mothers with children that are out there struggling, that are in they were in an abusive relationship and left that relationship, and they were so abused mentally and physically that they finally just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they up and left everything that they had, everything that they have, to go to having absolutely nothing, to where they're living in a shelter and looking for food and not knowing where their next meal is going to come from.
Yeah.
And one of those women walked through our door today. And at this point, I had already been there for a couple of hours. Because when I first got there, I was just sitting back, learning, taking in, and readjusting. And when they came in, I was, okay, I'm good now. You know, like, yeah. I'm good now. I can go out there, keep myself together, talk to them. And she had a daughter Audrey's age.
Yeah.
And she had a son a little younger than Joey.
Yeah.
And I see the daughter, and she's dressed in black. Our daughter, she likes wearing black, right? And she has this beautiful long black hair, and her bangs are long enough to cover half her eyes, so you really can't see her.
Yeah.
And it's almost like she's timid, so she's hiding behind her hair.
Yeah.
And we serve them their food, and I sit next to her, and I just asked her about school. And she said that she had started school, but it was a bit scary.
Yeah.
You know, and I share with her, I said, yes, I said, I have a daughter.
7th grade?
Mm-hmm. I'm like, I have a daughter your age. And she said the same thing. And I told her, I remember being your age, and I remember being scared, because change is always scary, and meeting new people it's always scary.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And I told her, you know, like, I complimented her hair, and she's, you know, so she started like opening up to me. And then I look at her little brother, and I start talking to him, and I let him know that I have, you know, a son his age. But just to see this mom who's been through a very hard relationship, and no matter how hard that relationship, you can tell that she put her love and everything that she knows into these children, from their manners. Like the little boy, he was eating with a fork, and he could not pick up that dang strawberry. But he kept like trying to pick it up with the strawberry. And he's 5, because he went into kindergarten, and his mom finally helped him. And I'm like, wow, you are very patient. I'm like, my son would have picked up that strawberry with his hands and shoved it in his mouth, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But he was like going at it. He did not want to touch it with his hands. He wanted to pick it up with the fork, you know, and just seeing this mom holding it together, and the kids looked clean, like she did her best.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just heartbreaking to know that there are women, you know, that are in these relationships today and still in these relationships because they have nowhere else to go and they feel stuck. But this woman was strong enough and courageous enough and brave enough to take her children out of that environment, and now is connecting to resources, because there are so many resources out there. Like if you have someone who is going through this situation, there are a lot of resources out there for women that are, you know,
that need help.
That need help. You know, and then I saw a younger girl come through that was maybe 24 and she was beat up. You know,
like
she was
domestic violence.
She was beat up. She was homeless on the streets. She was a drug user.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and we found out that someone had, you know, picked up a boulder and.
Oh, and yeah. They hit her with it.
Yeah. You know, and they come to this fountain of hope to get exactly that, you know, to get hope. And there's no one there judging them. Like they come there and it's open arms and it's unconditional love. And what can we do, you know, to help you? And how is your day? Like my friend, who is the main individual there, you know, took her, you know, to an area to talk to her, to guide her, to coach her. And my friend has been through everything that these women are going through, so she can relate to what it is that they're going through. And she told me, she's like, all we are here to do is to be here to serve them, to help them, to let them know that they matter and that God loves them, and that this is a safe place. Like this is a safe place that they can come to every Saturday morning, to know that they can get a meal, to know that they can get like the things that we take for granted. You know, we had little packets there with tampons and pads and underwear and socks, just to get them through another day, right? And and because I am so sensitive to energy, like I'm taking this in and I'm watching. And the little girl that's our daughter's age, right before they were leaving, because there's a rack of clothing, and this foundation doesn't have a whole lot, you know? They don't have a whole lot. And she's looking at the clothing rack, and her mom is already walking out the door, and I see her, and I asked her, I'm like, would you like to look through the clothes? And she said yes. I'm like, well, why don't you let your mom know? So she's looking through the rack, and she's like a 14, 16, and I'm looking, and I'm like, you know what? I know your style. I'm like, because my daughter, it's very, very similar. I'm like, you're into skinny jeans. You prefer black if there's black. And she starts laughing, and I'm like, I got you. And there was really not much there for her. So I asked my friend, I'm like, hey, I heard that there's extra clothes in the back. Do you guys happen to have smaller sizes? And I go out and I bring this big bin, and I'm sitting on the floor and I'm going through it. And I found some pants for her. And I'm like, hey, they're not black, but they're cute and they're skinny jeans. She's like, I like them. But you could feel that these kids had a sense of gratitude. They have a sense of gratitude, because you get others that come in that have they don't, what they have, they either had to steal it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they don't have much. So some people come in and they see all this free stuff, and it's like you have to have a limit. You have to have a limit on the shoes so that we have enough for other women that come in. You know, so you have to remind them the clothes is unlimited, but the shoes and the certain hygiene products, it's one per, customer that comes in or person that comes in, but you see the difference in in just in the different people that come in and yes.
So when you went over there, what was it that you were volunteering to do?
To serve, to help,
just whatever,
to make the meals, whatever they needed. I was there. Yes. And one of the other volunteers was looking out the door, and she's like, she starts to tear up, and she's like, she's looking out the window, and she's like, this is like a movie. Like, this is like, watch. She's like, you don't realize it until you're in it. But she's like, there's so many stories. She's like, if you look out the window, she's like, the young lady that was in here that had no shoes and blisters on her feet, she's out there working. She's out there working.
Yeah.
She's like, she was just dropped off by her pimp.
Yeah. You guys saw her through the door.
Yes. Like, this is real. Like, and the woman who came in who had 2 dogs, who she cared for very much, right? Chupacabra was one. And I can't remember the name of her other dog.
Hey, wait, what was it with you that we saw the sign with that guy and he had a dog and the dog had a sign?
I don't remember.
Somebody sent me a picture of it, but it's a guy holding a sign, and then the dog has a sign and it says, "Fuck him, feed me."
Oh, yeah. You shared that with me.
Yeah.
But this woman comes in and she's very well organized. She has her blanket. She has a cart outside, and then she came in with the stroller, and she had these 2 dogs in the stroller, and she has this padding, and she's like, is it okay if I wet the padding with cold water so that I can keep my dogs, so I can keep them cool. And so we did that, but she was very much like, she took what she could, and you could tell that she's been homeless for quite some time. And I asked the other women, I'm like, do you guys know her story? Because for me, I felt that this was a woman who had her life together at one point. I could feel that, like, she had her life together at one point and slipped up and this is just what I'm took a hit.
Like, you can see it.
Yeah. Like, she took a hit of something and she lost full control of herself. Like, these women, you could see the light. Like, you can see in some of them, like, you can see the light. Like, there's still light in them. But it's just that the darkness took over them, and that when they are on drugs, they are not. The drug takes over. It's not. That's not your mom. That's not your sister. That is not your daughter. They're still in there.
But that's not what you're seeing right now.
Right. But when you take a moment and you sit with them or you listen to the conversation, you can hear them. They come out. Every once in a while you'll see the life. You'll see the light in them.
What's it like when you're doing that, when you're talking to them and you're seeing them smile? Or like, you can see them go from a face that's like blank, yes, and then they start smiling.
Well, let me share this last one, right? We went to go take out the trash. You always go in pairs. You don't go by yourself.
Yeah.
So my friend and I are going outside to take out the trash. And while we're heading out to the trash, I look to my left, and there's this young girl. Okay, I would say anywhere from between 19 and 24 years old. And she's bending over. Okay, and she has all her stuff like in bags and stuff, and she's bending over and she's inhaling the fumes from the lighter. Like, she has the lighter on and she's inhaling the fumes. At least that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right? And my friend is so like bold. Like, she understands. Most people would walk by and not say a thing, right?
This is the one that you said she's the leader there.
Yeah,
she's been through all this.
She's been through it. She understands it. She's been clean for I think 5+ years. She understands it. She's been in it, right? And her story is amazing. Maybe one day we can have her on the podcast to share her story. But her story is saving lives, and God saved her life, and now she's saving lives. I look to the left, and my friend is like, hey, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And the lady looks up, and she has, or the young lady, she has all these sores on her face, and she's wearing this cute little dress, the dress that Audrey wore. Yeah, just
like to school.
A really cute dress. She has her hair pulled up in a ponytail, and she is dripping sweat. Okay, we're in Arizona. She is dripping sweat, and she looks up, and she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm okay. And we walk to her.
It's 106 right now.
And my friend asked her, would you like a cold bottle of water? And she said, yes, please. So I go into our office or whatever you want, the facility, get her 2 bottles of water, and I get her a bag of snacks. And I take it to her. And my friend asked her, is it okay if we pray for you? And she said, yes.
Yeah.
And my friend started praying, and I started praying with her. And we asked her, is it okay if we touch you? And she said, yes. So we both laid our hands on her, and we just started praying for her. And when she looked up, you could see the person. You can see the young girl, the smile, the light, the brightness in her.
You can see who she really was.
You can see it. And she's like, thank you. My day. And you can tell she was sincere, and she had tattoos, but all kinds of sores on her and her shoes, and my friend asked her, do you know who Jesus Christ is? And she's like, I know who he is. She's like, I know who he is. She's like, but kind of like she's not worthy. But.
Yeah.
And my friend tells her, he loves you. And I look at her and I'm like, you matter. You are loved, and you are never alone. And we're talking to her. And my friend asked her, would you like Jesus to come into your heart? And she said yes. And so we prayed for her, and she got saved then, whatever that meant to her.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, that moment, I broke down. After we had walked, away. And she told my friend, I had no idea that you guys had been here. That your facility is here. Because they give out roses. They give out roses. Whenever they see a woman on the corner, they'll give out a rose with their address and information to let them know that, hey, you can count on having a meal here every Saturday morning. And if it gives them information. Yeah. And all they do is they hand them the rose, but it's up to them for them to show up.
Yeah.
And in that moment, when she had walked away, I just broke down, and my friend is hugging me. And that's when I felt because I knew that my friend, that her and I were being pulled together for a reason. I knew that.
You've been telling
at my
me for
first
a while.
encounter. Yeah. Which my first encounter was when? In April.
Yeah.
But her and I have never really just made time to sit and talk. But when she told me about this volunteering opportunity, I'm like, I'm on it. Yeah. Right? Because that's something that brought joy into my heart.
And that's making a difference. You're making an impact. I mean, for some of these people, those smiles, I mean, who knows the last time that they had a happy moment, in their life.
Right. And it's almost selfish.
Well, yeah, it is.
Right?
It does kind of, because I don't know. Because we talked about on the podcast, wanting to do more volunteer stuff. And I've done some of it. I haven't really talked about it, but that's one of those things that when you're giving somebody, like you said, different personalities, sometimes when I would be handing stuff out, there are some people that just take it and nothing.
Right.
and then there's some people when you hand it to them, like they're so grateful,
right?
And they're smiling. And like I said, I asked you that question because I remember seeing it. I got to get back to it, do more of it. But you would see just like with their head down, just a blank face, and then they just light up for a little bit.
Now imagine.
But you were there for a while.
Right. And that's what I was going to tell you. Like us handing out, and normally you just go.
Yeah, I go and just hand out some
get
stuff
the food,
in different places.
You go out and you do it while we're waiting in the car. Well, I've been in these situations before where we're feeding the homeless and I'll go out and sit at the tables. But babe, it's been 2 years. Yeah, so this was for me like taking that first step again.
But this was even
more intense because you're more in it. And I see my friend and I see her heart. Like I see her heart. There was another girl who came in, or the one that I was talking about, who had blisters on her feet, like her shoes. And, we didn't have her size in. And my friend told her, because my friend was her size, and she's like, I have a pair of shoes for you. And she went into her car and I guess she had an extra pair of her shoes in the car, and she brought those shoes in. And she and the young lady was putting socks on, and my friend got down on her knees and started putting on her shoes and tying her shoes for her. And I just was in awe watching her do this. And I snapped a picture and I sent it to her. And she told me, she's like, thank you for taking this. She's like, and I'm like, this is her though. Always on her knees, always serving, right? Always helping, always making a difference. And that's what it's about. Like for me, that's what life is about. Like like none of this matters. The money in our bank accounts don't matter. None of it. It's making a difference in people's lives. And I realized that this is like, that is, and that's where I'm supposed to be. And she's like, are you going to come back? And I'm like, yeah, I have to go home and talk to my husband and move some things around, because normally like these are the days that we have together. But I feel like that's where I'm supposed to be, like doing, serving, being, it's serving. Like that's what I feel like my purpose is to do. And that's where I feel whole. And that's where I feel I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. There was you were telling me something about, I think it was a little boy.
Yes. His name was Ian. His name is Ian.
Yeah. So before we talk about Ian, if you guys could go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, share it with your friends. Definitely check out the phoenixdreamcenter.org, and I think you can donate there. I think I saw a button to donate. So, if you guys can do that, that would be great.
Sure.
Because they're doing great things, obviously. And share our podcast with the people that you know. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. It's all at Opposite Pod. When you're on our website, you'll see a tab that says support the show at the top. If you're on the computer or if you're on your phone, you hit the menu button, you'll see the support the show tab. You'll see our Amazon link, and anything that you buy through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And you'll also see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. So if you are, and right now we're focusing on loan signings just because it's been super, super crazy. So not doing too much general notary, but if you are purchasing, refinancing, or selling your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency to help you close out your loan.
Yes, and you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. And we're also affiliates with Libsyn, which is who hosts our podcast. If you have a hobby or you have something that you want to talk about, if you've thought about starting a podcast, you can use promo code OAP for Opposites Attract Podcast. That'll give you the rest of whatever month you sign up in for free, and the next month just for trying out Libsyn using promo code OAP. And we're also affiliates with Pinwheel,
woo,
which is a smartphone for kids, which is what we decided to get our daughter for her first phone. Because we definitely didn't want to go with just a regular smartphone and all the social media and all the crazy stuff that's out there. And if that's something that you've worried about before and you want to give Pinwheel a shot, you can go to their website, pinwheel.com, and use promo code OAPTEN, all in caps, and that'll give you 10% off of a Pinwheel phone.
All right.
So we were talking about Ian.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me you were telling me something about, was Ian the brother of the girl that you said that was like Audrey, or
yes,
or was
okay, they were brother and sister.
And you were telling me something about Ian and some snacks, like he was eating something.
Right. Yes. Like he was. Okay. So, so he ate half of his meal, and
so wait, hold up a second. So this family came in. So because they were looking for clothes and then they were getting food.
Yes.
So how does it work when somebody comes in there?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like, do they go through a certain thing, or
well, because
how does it work?
COVID, what we do is we pack them a to-go lunch.
Yeah.
And some of them, like they actually allowed them to sit down and eat their lunch there. Others took it to go, but they would still get to shop within. So they would get their, clothes, shoes, socks, underwear, hygiene products, stuff like that. So they would just go basically shopping, and then once they had everything they needed, they would leave. But during that time, like my friend, like you can go up to them and talk to them and ask them, hey, what is it that you need, and kind of build rapport. You have
just try
some time to build that rapport. But this family, when they came in, they actually sat down and they allowed them to eat versus just taking it to go. And the little boy, the mom was cutting up his strawberries and his waffles, and he ate. He took a few bites, and then he looked up at his mom and he asked, is it okay if I save the rest for later?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on the sofa next to them. Man. And the mom looks at him and she tells him, no, go ahead. Eat your food. Eat more food. Yeah. And then when I heard that, I got up and I got him extra treats. Like they had these like bags filled with like chips and crackers and just food, snacks. And so I made sure that they all had their snacks before they left. But he was like, is it okay if I save this for later?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know when his next meal is coming, so he wants to make sure that he has some for later. But it's just it's heartbreaking. But let me tell you, you hear this all the time, like people that volunteer. They volunteer to serve, right? To make a difference, to serve. But what you get in return is 10 times.
Yeah.
It changes you. It changes you as a person.
There's no way that you do that kind of stuff and you don't feel anything in return.
I miss it so much.
Yeah.
I miss it so much. And I know that I need to add more of it.
We do.
In my day, in my life. I mean, I feel so alive today. I mean, I was so emotional. Like I told you, I'm like, hey, is it ready? Because I got to let go of this. I got to, I need to let this go because I was so filled with so much emotion and I felt so blessed. And I told my friend, I'm like, thank you so much for asking me because this did so much for me.
Yeah.
And just being there to witness that there are good people out there, because this world right now, it's so ugly and it's so filled with negativity and division that you forget that there are people out there. There are good, loving people out there that do things and expect nothing in return. And you lose sight of that.
And when we're in our own little world thinking about all the crazy stuff that's happening.
Yes.
There's people that are really struggling.
Right.
That need help.
Yes. And it's
like through all the craziness, like on top of that,
Yes. And I know, speaking from my own experience, I've had family members and friends that ended up on the streets just from making one bad decision, like picking up and snorting or shooting up. You think that one time won't hurt, but one time can destroy your life. one time can destroy your life.
Yeah.
And there are family members and friends that give up on loved ones because of it. And I don't know, God just made my heart soft to where I can forgive 77 times, you know?
Yeah.
And see past it. And some people look at it as a negative, but I look at it as a positive because I know that it's not them. And you can't expect to understand what they're going through and what they're feeling and what it does to their body when they're not getting the drug. You can't understand that the pain of not taking that drug
or that experience. I mean, we talked about it a few episodes ago, you know, even when like a woman says, oh, I think like a man, or I think like this, or I know what that's like. Well, you really don't unless you've been through it.
You don't. And you can never you
can get close to it and maybe have a good idea or whatever, but
and you can't take anything personal.
Yeah.
You know, like I've heard stories. I mean, I've had jewelry stolen in my own home from a relative.
Yeah.
And I was very close to him. And I never held that personal because I knew that it wasn't him, that it was the drug that took over him.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have individuals that are going through that, for them to feel like they are alone and they have no one that loves them or cares enough for them to at least when they see them say, I love you and you matter. And to let them know that regardless that you're there for them, even if it's just for that hug. And before we left the girl that was bending over, inhaling the fumes of the lighter.
Yeah.
And I know with COVID and all, I had a mask. We all had masks on, the volunteers. But we went in and I gave her a hug without even thinking, and whether that could be called
what danger
not dangerous, but other people would be like, what are you thinking, you know, with everything that's going on? But it's like, I know that hug helped her, and I know it did, because when we pulled away, I could see that we gave her another day.
She was a little bit happier.
Yes. Yeah. And brighter. And she told us that we made her day. Yeah. We saw past the scars on her face. We saw past her sweat, and we saw past that.
Yeah.
And it was such just a beautiful event and experience. And if you have never volunteered, it's time you volunteer, because your stress and depression and anxiety can be taken away by you serving others.
So now that, you know, you had a really intense morning and
afternoon,
beginning of your afternoon. Yeah. How do you feel like coming back home? You know, because that's like a different world. You know, driving back into our neighborhood. Right.
But you know what? I grew up in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
We had a house in the West Valley when I was younger. I grew up in those environments. But when you live where we live, you forget about that. You do. You forget about that. And then when you go back, you still feel Like
you can feel that. You can feel it again. Can you feel it again or no?
I did today.
Yeah.
But normally when we're just driving by, you know, because there's not too many homeless people out here that you see at the corner the, you know, at the corners. But when you go there to Phoenix in the West Valley, you know, just not all, but I'm just saying, like, when you go to some parts and
well, there's parts around here.
Yeah, but where this facility, where it's at, it's the hub. Like she told me, this is the hub for sex trafficking, for drug addicts, for all of that. Like we were in the middle of it. I mean, you look out the window and it's there. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. You have a smoke shop next to us, right? You have a liquor place right next to the smoke shop, right? Yeah. So when they're getting, you know, they have their signs up asking for money. Well, these are a lot of times these are the places that they go to because they need a. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're seeing them pass by. Some of the girls won't even come by because they're with someone. And I learned about this. I learned this.
They can't.
Because I noticed one of the volunteers is like, I want to go give her this rose. I want to bring her in, but he will not leave her alone. And as soon as this guy, like these are some brave women. So as soon as the guy left her to go into the liquor store, the volunteer ran out there, gave the girl a rose and pointed to where we were. As soon as she was walking towards the facility, the man came out and saw that she was leaving his girl and was looking. And we locked the door. We always keep the doors locked because he was coming towards the door. Oh. And we were thinking that he was going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Because they don't want you saving their girl. No. That's their partner. You know what I'm saying?
That's not their partner.
You know what I mean, though. That's their partner that they get high with. That's the partner that they're not sleeping alone.
Oh, well, alone. Yeah, I got you.
Do you see what I'm saying? You know, so they don't want you trying to save them. They don't want you inviting them to get. Do you see?
To get help, yeah.
Right. None of.
Then they'll be alone.
Yes. But thank God, like he was coming straight towards us, but he ended up like changing his mind or something and just was sitting right there by the door. And we just kept the door locked. We keep the door locked. I mean, I'm telling you, like I've been in facilities, but that were not like right in the ghetto. So you still, you know, it's not in front of you. Today, it was in front of me, beside me, to my left, to my right, to the front. I mean, there's a big window where you can look out when you're waiting for the girls to come, you know, because they'll just like show up and you're out there, you're waiting, looking to see so that you can bag their food and get everything ready and know how many people we're going to be serving. And I was cooking today. I was making, but I like the fact that after I was done, I was able to go out and help and be a part of it and interact when I was ready to interact. Because when I first got there, I was just taking it all in. I was taking it in. I was figuring out, okay, how do you guys work? How do you want to go? Because you have to be careful. Yeah. Right?
No,
there has to be structure.
You have to be alert. Yeah.
Right. Right. No, because you never know what's coming in, who's coming in, and some of them may be aggressive.
It's different. If you haven't been around that kind of stuff, you just, like you said, you don't understand. But there are some places that when the neighborhood starts changing and you start seeing certain things, like you start looking over your shoulder. Right. Like you're like, all right, I need to put my phone down.
Right. Yeah.
And I need to be looking around.
Yes. You know, like she's like, do you have anything with you? Any valuables? I'm like, no. I'm like, all I have is my phone. It's in my pocket. Keys are in my pocket. She's like, okay, because we have a chest in the back where you can lock it up, you know, like it's like that. It's that intense, you know, and I'm glad that it was that real because it really it helped me to see things clearer.
Yeah.
You know, and it's heartbreaking. Like, it's heartbreaking. And I know that you can't save them. Like, you know that. You can't save them. Yeah. You can't help them until they're ready to get the help. When they're ready to be saved. You know, when tired of living the way they're living and being beat and just being a slave to this drug that's killing you and taking the life out of you.
Yeah.
In order for you to want that, they have to make the decision. It doesn't matter. You can motivate them and give them and give, but
you can't do it for them.
You can't. And that's why they said all we can do is give them a single rose and let them know where we are. And we are here every Saturday. And when they walk through those doors, they are here. And when they come in, we are here to give them just that love, that smile, and opening and be welcoming enough for them to feel comfortable to continue to come and know that if they don't show up, it's okay. We'll be here next Saturday. It's not like, where were you?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
And
like,
these
it's not
women,
like gonna be judgment.
And these women at the Fountain of Hope, okay? My girl, when they all have her number, like those that ask for, she gives them her number.
Yeah.
And one of them needed help. And she's like, I went to go pick her up. Like she was in a tough situation and she's been in it. So she understands it. She doesn't have fear, like she's cautious. She's street smart.
Yeah, of course.
Like she knows their language. She knows their lingo. She knows when things go down.
She knows what to look out for.
Yes, like she was saying, this street is called this. I can't remember what they call it, but when you're in that environment, you learn the names of certain corners.
Yeah.
And what drugs, the names that they call certain drugs when they're talking about it, so that you don't know what they're talking about. There's certain names that they have for drugs.
Yeah.
She knows
all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what actually made me feel safer, knowing that she knew the ins and outs and she understood how things worked so that she can educate us volunteers.
Yeah. Oh my God, if you didn't have her and you have
no, you know me.
Oh my
I'd
goodness.
be like love and joy and say shit that they were like looking at me crazy.
You get 4 Sonias out there. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, but
be a lot of love though.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like I've never have had fear in my heart or towards that. I don't know how to explain it. Towards individuals that are in those types of situations.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I better, like, I don't know, hide my purse or stand against the wall, or like I'm just like, which that's not good.
I don't know if that's good because
that's what I'm saying,
I like helping, but I'm also paying attention.
Right.
And
like
I'm
you
ready.
are, yes. But that's the insight that she gave me today.
What,
you know
that
what
you
I'm
need
saying?
to do that?
Just being more
aware. Yeah. Yep.
But that's why I sat back when I first got there, just sitting back and taking in what they were doing, how things were being handled,
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
But it was just, I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, watching this, you have to experience it. In order to stay grounded and humbled and just having that servant heart, but also it also heals you from within. If you've never had an experience like this and you're one of those people that are always playing victim or poor me, or you think you have it rough, go out there and serve, and your heart will be filled with so much love and joy and empathy for others that you won't even think about what you don't have. Yeah. I told you on the way home, I walk into my closet and there's so much things that I don't need. And it's like, I told them, I'm like, I need to go through my closet and get rid of some things, because it's almost like you have a sense of guilt. When you're
especially
around
when
people that don't have anything,
like that,
and then you come home and you see all this stuff that we don't need, stuff that we take for granted.
Yeah. There was something that you said a little while ago that I remember. I don't know. It just kind of popped back into my head. But there have been times when I've been giving stuff out and you see somebody and you can tell that, like you said, there's something different. Like something happened to them.
Yes.
Like it seemed
I've
like
heard
they
you
had
say
it.
that before.
Remember
You did share that with me before.
I don't
Look
know,
at
like
you.
that popped back into my head, but I remember
you're tapping into your empathy, aren't you? There.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I told you about it first. But no, I do remember. Like, I was just like, there's something. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's crazy. But when we first started the podcast, you were saying something about, or we were talking about like the things that people don't like to, like the things that we know are out there.
Right. No, I was sharing with you
what we don't like to look at.
Right. So Miguel, when we were having
sex.
Well,
no.
What? No,
I'm just kidding.
We were going through a challenging time in our marriage because of the difference in our beliefs. Like I believe in God and Miguel believes in science.
And nature.
And nature.
And how they tie each other together and all that.
They do. Yes. And he would send these videos to me about Israel and Palestine. And all this stuff that's happening there because of the Bible and because the Holy Land. And it's like, this stuff is heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. And I know why you're doing it. And I know that is happening, but why do I have to see it? I'd rather not see it because it makes me feel uncomfortable. Like I get what you're trying to teach me, and a lot of times there's real shit happening in this world. Like there's people out there that are not eating. There are people out there that don't have water. Clean water. There are people out there that don't have.
It's crazy to even think about, but
their freedom.
Listen, the stuff that you saw today was, it was horrible, right? Some of that stuff was just
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And then I guess you can always think about it like this, but there's places where it gets so much worse. You know what I mean? In other parts of the world.
Yes.
Like I've shown the kids some of the stuff that goes on in Africa and it's crazy.
You know what it is? You'll see homeless people at the corner, right? And we will give them food or we will give them money, right? Or we'll judge and be like, he looks like he can work. He looks healthy.
He looks strong.
Why is he not? Why is he sitting at a corner?
Yeah.
So you see them from a distance, but you've never sat down with them and had a conversation with them. That's what made it different today.
Yeah.
You're sitting with them. You're talking to them. You're having a conversation with them. And you're seeing that they're just like you.
You know what? There was something that I don't know when it happened, but at a certain point, my mentality kind of changed about homeless people that I would see, and because there was a certain point when I used to be like, no.
Yep, I remember.
Like I fucking work for my money. Right. They can work for their money.
Yes.
You know
I
what?
remember.
Get a paper towel. Like, and I would say, like in New York, they would have a spray bottle and newspaper, and we would give them 50 cents, and they would clean my windshield or something.
Yes. Yep.
But then I don't know what happened. It was just like at a certain little by little.
Maybe you were getting older.
Maybe I got older. Maybe older, you and
then you married.
Maybe you and all
Care
of
Bear.
Maybe
you married a Care Bear, dude.
But really, it's like, what do I give a fuck? When you really look at it, we do well. And if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you do well too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, what do I give a fuck? I could just give them a couple dollars or a and to be honest, I still don't like giving them a couple dollars. Right. But what if I could just go buy some food and give it to them?
Yes.
Or, keep some stuff in my car that I could give to them.
Yes.
Or something.
Yes.
But what do I give a shit?
Yes. I just, I think it all has to do with age. I think the older you get, the wiser you get. Your vision becomes clear. Let me tell you, your vision becomes clear. You start to see things in a different manner. And it's almost like your senses are more enhanced. Like they're heightened, right? Like they're heightened. Like your heart softens. Everything softens. No. Everything softens. But there's something that changes within. That you start to see what life is really about. You know? And maybe it's just us. Maybe people, you know, maybe that's not true for everybody. Maybe that's just our truth.
Yeah. We could use a lot more of it today, especially, I think. Or maybe it's just the media. I don't fucking know. Because there are good people.
Yes, there are. And that's the thing, is that we need to focus on that, because as a society, we are so caught up in the negativity, right? We are watching nonstop news. We are on social media nonstop. We're seeing all the craziness happen, and we're forgetting that there are some beautiful things happening today. They're just not being talked about on social media because that's not what sells. Yeah. There are some amazing, loving, caring individuals in this world, and you just need to put yourself around them. You need to
look for that.
Yes.
Because if you don't look for it, all you're going to get is the negative stuff.
That's
right. I
don't
know why. Like, you don't have to look for the negative stuff. That shit just comes.
It will find you.
If you want like more positive shit in your life, you have to go find it.
You got to look for it. You have to look. That's right. You have to look for it. And
that shit doesn't come around sometimes.
Change your community. Maybe you need to change your association. But let me tell you, your associations. But it's out there. If you want it, it's out there. That's it. You just got to look for it.
So, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever in your life had a moment where you didn't have enough of anything, enough food, like your clothes? Did you ever not have enough of anything where you were worried? Did you ever feel that way?
I thought, yes. It was the craziest thing ever. It was when, my mom living with a single parent. And I was a little girl. And I knew things were tight, but we always had what we needed. We always had food. We always had clothes, even if they were given to us, even if they were from the Salvation Army. Man, my mom took care of business. She took care of business.
Yeah.
And on the next podcast, I'll talk about my self-processing, my self-healing, because I thought that we were broke growing up when my mom and dad were together. And that wasn't the case. But that will be shared on the next episode because there's too much to share regarding that. Now. We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But growing up with my mom and dad, we always had what we needed and more. And then when they divorced, my mom was struggling. She was struggling. My dad really wasn't helping her, and she was struggling financially. And I remember one time seeing my mom and my sister looking through the sofa cushions for change, for money.
Yeah.
And when I realized what they were doing, I got very scared. Because if they're looking for money in the sofa cushions, that means we have no money.
Yeah.
And so as a little girl, you're thinking food, where are we going to live? That fear. And that is a fear that I'm still working on today. That fear of not having, and I believe we both have it. You have that same fear as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, the fear is what stops you from achieving goals, from reaching your true potential, because you're so afraid of going back to being poor that you hold on to what you have.
It's hard.
It cripples you. And a lot of times, a lot of people stay average because of that.
Yeah. Real quick before we get out of here, there's something that we've been going through that we can talk about on a different podcast, but we've been trying to do some things to kind of put ourselves in a different position and move ahead. And we've had a lot of struggles.
We've been struggling
because we just keep hesitating. There's things that come up and we're just like, I don't know if we should do it.
It's the fear of failure.
And it is. It's that fear. And you did mention it that this isn't the first time that we've done it. We haven't thought about it in a long time.
I know, right?
But it's not the first time.
Nope.
It's just a little bit scarier because it's on a different level.
Yes, it's our next level. And the thing is our next step.
It gets scarier and scarier as the levels change, right?
Yes, 100%.
Because it could be a bigger fall from, whatever.
No, seriously.
But we kind of recognize that we've done it before. Yeah. Because we had the same feeling when we were leaving our old house, moving into this house, and we weren't selling the old house.
Nope.
And we're like, so what happens if something happens with that house?
Right.
That could affect that house and this house.
Right.
And
we
don't know.
End up homeless. Yeah.
We were worried.
Yes.
And everything turned out incredibly
great. And
but we've been struggling with the same things recently.
And I told our fiduciary, our investor, look at us. I told him, I'm gonna let you listen to the message because I coached him on how to talk to you, by the way.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because I knew your fear because I had the same fear. Yeah. Right? So I told him what I was going through and I'm like, and I'm pretty sure Miguel's feeling the same way because we both come from humble beginnings,
But this is the thing is that we're down. Fear, no fear.
It takes us a little longer, babe.
This is the thing is that we've identified it.
Yes.
And now that we have,
right.
Now we know what's up.
Yes. Now it's time to move forward. It's time for us to take that.
Now we said
leap of faith.
We're gonna do it, but before we do, we're gonna look at some things to make sure that we have some things lined up.
People don't know what the hell we're talking about. So on the next episode, you will get to hear. There's 2 parts. Okay, so our next episode
we got a lot of shit to talk
will be about my healing process and a huge breakthrough that I had that Miguel was there to experience with me. You were there as a witness to my breakthrough. All of it.
I feel like I helped you.
You did help me.
I feel like I helped you.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm not saying.
You're not the only one.
Dude, we connected that day during the day and we connected in the evening.
Let me see if I can get it. No. And with that,
we love you guys. We thank you for your support and we thank you for listening to Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.